Here, this is your gonad, right there, okay, for the male. It's a firm off-white texture, and I'm going to move it out of the way so that we can see it. There's two of them, so you can see the other one peeking through over there. And if you were to break it apart, you'll see that it's just one firm tissue. In the case of a female, it would be usually pinker or darker in color, and you would see the little tiny circular eggs inside. Okay? And people have that around the room, so I would recommend taking a peek if you can before you go.
To see the females? To
see the female gonad, just so that you're sure. But otherwise, the structures are the same. In the case of the female, sometimes you end up with more of the intestine and stomach and things shoved up into the front of the fish as the gonads get big. So that would be another distinction from maybe what you're looking at. But you've got a little guy, so, you know.
He's tiny.
He's a little tiny one. But he'll have everything we need. So here's your trunk muscles up in here.
Okay, so that's what I was having so much trouble cutting through.
That's what you're having trouble cutting through because we're very muscular now, and that helps with mobility. We're increasing mobility. And also, too, you've got these ribs, and now we've got this ossified skeleton, so it's much harder to cut through. But very important for, sturdy, our muscles attached to it, and it really helps with movement as it does for the fish. Here in this region, this is the opening for the swim bladder, the air bladder or the swim bladder. And it's not a lung. Well, everybody does. There's no way. Because let's remember that we're talking about a coelomate. So just like us, we have a peritoneum that surrounds the body cavity. And a similar tissue, still made from that mesoderm or derived from that mesoderm, that surrounds all of the tissues. So you notice when I tried to pull this out, I had to give it a little tug. That's because it's surrounded by mesenteries, and all those mesenteries are somewhat connected. So when you start pulling this apart, everything still is attached.
It's still connected,
hanging in the body cavity. But if it was closed off, it works very efficiently to be able to act like a little buoyancy chamber. So gases can be put in there to help the fish, determine its distance in the water or where it's going to sit in the water. If we move that kind of out of the way, we can see the vertebrae and then region of the kidney. Kidney doesn't look anything like it does in your diagram.
Definitely not.
See where that region of brown is?
It really looks like anything.
That's the kidney. Yeah. Okay. So, frankly, I've never pointed it out because it's difficult to do for an exam. But I just want to make so you know that it's not like it looks in the diagram. Maybe different perch would have a more prominent one, or a different type of fish might than what our specimens are. So down here is where we're going to start seeing all the intestines wrapped around. And in many cases, what we'll find kind of lodged down here toward the bottom, but not always, is this little brownish structure right there. That's the spleen.
Okay.
And a spleen, like for the frog and for us and for vertebrates. This is important for immune function and training the cells for immune function, and it also has a function in like taking care of old red blood cells and getting rid of red blood cells. So it's going to be there, and it's trapped in the mesenteries that also are mesenteries that surround all this intestine. And so here's the region of the anus. It got cut a little bit, but we can see that this tubular structure here is the intestine. So I can pull a little bit.
Oh, wow.
On those mesenteries,
oh, shoot.
Right? And it kind of went like this.
Yeah. Okay.
And the bigger the fish, the more loopy this can be.
What's the white stuff that's connected?
There's some mesentery here, a little bit of fat. Okay, there's a pancreas in there. And then if we work our way forward, this intestine is going to loop around and it's going to reach the stomach, which is more interior. And here's the stomach right here.
Okay.
See that stomach? Let's try to get rid of
that right there.
This is the other gonad.
No, I meant this right here.
That's
the
structure
stomach.
right there. Okay. This is the stomach. And so it has kind of that, it has a curve or a loop. Let's see if we can watch yourselves for a minute. I'm going to cut a little bit up more. We're going to have to, sorry.
Not your fault.
There's no good way to do this without, covering our, that's why I was warning you guys we're all going to be covered in fish gills.
Yay.
Not much else we can
Love me some fish gills.
So here's the liver right there. See that lobed liver there?
Okay.
There's some on this side. Remember, we're bilaterally symmetrical organisms. There's going to be a lobe on that side. And if we move a little bit of the liver out of the way, we can get a better look at the stomach.
Okay.
So the stomach's pretty tiny here because the fish is tiny, but an even bigger stomach is just going to have that same curve. And it's going to be really firm. So if you're looking at whether it's the intestine or the stomach on an exam, go ahead and give it a squeeze.
Okay.
With a tweezer or something, or touch it. You can see that this is really firm. And then there's a pyloric ceca on either side. See these little things that fin out? Like here's a good example of it right there. See
Yeah.
that little thing that
Yeah.
fins off? That's
Yeah.
the pyloric cecum. Okay, and there's one on either side at the interior end of the stomach there. Okay, and then the other structure that you want to look at is the heart, and there's a 2-chambered heart right there. You see that little triangular structure right there? That's the heart. And notice that it's right by the gills,
Oh.
right, for good oxygenation, very efficient oxygenation, so that blood can be, and oxygen can be sent to all these muscles, because this fish is going to, now we're going to see that increased mobility, a faster organism. Right, I think that's everything.
Zoom in.
There you go.
Yeah.
Try to
Thank
find the
you.
brain or something.